Imagine a man so dangerous that three states couldn't sleep peacefully. A criminal so cunning that India's top police forces spent over 100 crores and 20 years chasing him. A figure so terrifying that even the mention of his name would freeze an entire crowd in terror. This is the story of Veerappan, India's most wanted criminal. A man who ruled the forests of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala with complete control. A smuggler of sandalwood and ivory, a ruthless killer, and a master of hiding his identity. But here is the twist. While the government branded him a criminal, the villagers of Satyamangalam forest worshipped him like a god. How did a poor boy from the forest become the most wanted criminal in India? Why did the government place a 5 crore, later 15 crore bounty on his head? And what drove him to kill over 184 people, including police officers, government officials, and even his own daughter? This isn't just a story of crime, it's a story of fear, power, and betrayal. So, let's start with point number 1. Who was Veerappan? Veerappan's full name was Kuse Muniswamy Veerappan. He was born in 1952 in the small village of Gopinantham, located on the border of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. His family was poor and owned 5 acres of farmland. Veerappan spent his early years herding cows and working on the fields. Now point number 2. How did Veerappan become a criminal? Veerappan's path to crime started when he was very young. His father had connections with a criminal named Salve Grounder, who was also his uncle. Under his uncle's influence, Veerappan started poaching animals and smuggling valuable goods from a young age. At the age of 14, Veerappan killed his first elephant. By the time he was 17, he completed his first killing, shooting a forest guard who tried to stop him. Veerappan became involving in smuggling sandalwood and ivory, killing elephants for their tusks. After some years, Veerappan decided to leave his uncle and started his own gang, becoming an independent smuggler. This is when his rule of terror began, operating across the forest of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Point number 3. Veerappan's crimes. How he became India's most wanted criminal. Veerappan started his criminal empire by forming a gang that specialized in hunting elephants and smuggling ivory. By his early 20s, he had killed hundreds of elephants and made a fortune selling their tusks. In 1972, Veerappan was caught by the police for smuggling, but he escaped easily. After this, he expanded his smuggling network and built international connections to sell sandalwood and ivory. In 1986, Veerappan was caught again after 14 years, but this time he bribed a police officer and escaped once more. His crimes only escalated after this. By 1987, he killed Chidambaram, a forest officer from Tamil Nadu, which shocked the entire government. Realizing the pressure from authorities, Veerappan retreated deep into the forest and strengthened his gang. He planted informers in nearby villages to secretly carry out his operations. In 1990, Veerappan's sister ended her life, which drove him to take revenge on a Karnataka forest officer named Srinivas. He not only killed him, but also cut off his head, which was found 3 years later near a remote temple. And in 1991, Veerappan kidnapped the son of a quarry owner and demanded a ransom of 1.15 crore. The boy was released after the payment, showing how bold and confident Veerappan had become. Point number 4. Revenge attacks and government response. Veerappan's violent crimes forced the governments of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka to launch a special operation called Operation Cocoon. A dedicated task force was formed to capture him. But Veerappan's knowledge of the forest and his network of informers made him almost impossible to catch. But 3 months after this incident, Veerappan attacked the Ramapuram police station. At the station, he killed 5 policemen, stole their guns, and escaped with weapons. A few months later, when he came to kill police person named Shakil Ahmad, he ended up killing 5 others along with him. This shocked the governments of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, leading them to announce a reward of 5 crore in 1992 for anyone who could capture Veerappan. In 1993, Veerappan killed 20 anti-Veerappan fighters and set landmines that blew up 2 buses, killing 22 task force members. This attack showcased his mastery of guerrilla warfare. The same year, Veerappan's wife Muthulakshmi was arrested. In revenge, he kidnapped the deputy superintendent of police from Coimbatore and threatened to hurt him if his wife wasn't released. The authorities, under pressure, freed her, showing how Veerappan could outsmart the police. Even with the special task force, Veerappan kept escaping capture. Frustrated, the police started using harsh methods, targeting villagers who were suspect of helping him. This only angered the locals and made it even harder to find out where Veerappan was hiding. Point number 5. High profile kidnappings. In 2000, Veerappan kidnapped Kannada film legend Dr. Rajkumar along with 3 others during a housewarming ceremony. This created a huge uproar in Karnataka with protests and strikes across the state. Veerappan used this incident to push political demands, including resolving the Kaveri water dispute in favor of Tamil Nadu, declaring Tamil as Kannada's second official language, releasing Tamil extremists from Karnataka prisons. The kidnapping lasted 108 days and Veerappan negotiated directly with intermediaries. Eventually, a rumored ransom of 20 crore was paid and Rajkumar was released unharmed. This incident made Veerappan even more infamous. In 2002, Veerappan kidnapped H. Nagappa, a former Karnataka minister, from his home. Despite the government's efforts to rescue him, Nagappa was killed after 3 months and his body was dumped in forests. This brutal act shocked the nation, prompting the government to announce a record-breaking bounty of 15 crore for Veerappan's capture. Point number 6. How was Veerappan trapped and killed? For years, the police tried unsuccessfully to capture Veerappan, spending huge amounts of money and resources. Finally, under the leadership of K. Vijayakumar and N.K. Santanamare Kannan, the strategy was completely reworked. The turning point came when the police planted an undercover officer as an ambulance driver in the villages near the forest where Veerappan operated. This officer gained the trust of locals and even Veerappan's men over several months. He provided them with essential supplies and even became close to Veerappan's brother. When Veerappan started experiencing eye problems, the officer saw his opportunity. He convinced Veerappan that without treatment, his condition could get worse and promised to take him to a trusted hospital. Veerappan, trusting the driver, agreed to travel in the ambulance for the treatment. On the day of the plan, Veerappan was transported in the ambulance, but the police were already waiting at a pre-arranged location in Tamil Nadu. As the vehicle reached the spot, the officer jumped out and escaped, signaling the team. The police opened fire, raining bullets on the ambulance for 15 minutes, killing Veerappan and his men. The operation, called Operation Cocoon, was finally successful, ending Veerappan's rule of terror. Interestingly, there was one crucial mistake in the plan that went unnoticed by the Veerappan. The ambulance had a fake hospital name painted on it. Instead of Salem, it was misspelled as Salem. Despite the vehicle being in the area for several days, neither Veerappan nor his gang noticed this detail. Typically, Veerappan was very sharp about such things and would kill anyone he suspected immediately. Had Veerappan noticed this small spelling mistake earlier, he wouldn't have trusted the ambulance or the driver, and his life might not have ended the way it did. Point number 7. Doubts about Veerappan's death. While the official version states that the Veerappan was killed in the encounter, some rumors and doubts remain. According to some sources, the police may have poisoned his food and drink, leaving him intoxicated. Allegedly, they captured him while he was under the influence, tortured him to extract information about his network, and later killed him in custody. It is speculated that the authorities feared Veerappan might expose powerful politicians and industrialists who had connections with him. To prevent this, both the Tamil Nadu and Karnataka government allegedly ordered his death in a staged encounter. This theory remains unverified but continues to fuel debates. Point number 8. Veerappan's crimes, killings and smuggling. Veerappan and his gang were responsible for 184 deaths, including 120 directly committed by Veerappan himself. Most of his victims were police officers, forest officials, and villagers who opposed him. He was also a notorious smuggler, killing elephants for their tusks and smuggling 10,000 tons of sandalwood. His total earnings from these activities were staggering: 16 crores from ivory smuggling and 143 crores from sandalwood smuggling. These numbers reflect the massive scale of Veerappan's operations and why he was one of India's most wanted criminals for decades. Point number 9. How did Veerappan get married? Veerappan had always avoided distractions like drugs and relationships, believing they could make him weak. But at the age of 38, his resolve broke when he met Muthulakshmi, a young woman from Nirupur village. Lakshmi was both scared of and fascinated by Veerappan. The villagers respected him and his visits always left a lasting impact on her. Despite their growing affection, Lakshmi's father strongly opposed their union because Veerappan was not just a wanted criminal, but Lakshmi was also already promised to marry someone in her family. Despite everything, Lakshmi left her home a few months later to join Veerappan in the forest.
They got married in a hidden temple deep in the wilderness where Veerappan lived.
Point number 10. How many children did Veerappan have? Did he kill one of his children?
Veerappan had 3 daughters, each with a different story. His eldest daughter Vidya is now involved in politics, working with the NTK political party. His second daughter Prabha has found a career in the film industry. Both were raised away from Veerappan due to the dangers surrounding his life. However, a dark story surrounds his third daughter, a newborn whose tragic fate shocked even his closest associates. In 1993, Veerappan was on the run from the Special Task Force and hiding deep in the forest with his gang and family. His infant daughter, who was weak and unwell, began crying loudly, threatening to give away their location. Fearing that her cries would lead the police to their hideout, Veerappan made an unthinkable decision. He asked his wife Lakshmi to end the child's life to protect the group. Though heartbroken, Lakshmi followed his command. The baby was buried in the forest and the incident left a deep scar on their lives. Later, the police unearthed the remains but found no conclusive evidence due to the body's decomposition. The story remains one of the most haunting episodes in Veerappan's life.
Point number 11. What did Veerappan's wife say about him?
Veerappan's wife Lakshmi has stated that he was a good person who was forced into criminal activities due to circumstances. She mentioned that when he asked her to marry him, he did not pressure her and their marriage happened by mutual consent. It is said that Veerappan made hundreds of crores through smuggling sandalwood. But Lakshmi mentions that if that were true, their current life would have been completely different. She adds that at present, they live in a small rented house in a village. She says that he helped the forest people a lot.
And finally, point number 12. Why do some people consider Veerappan a hero despite his crimes?
Although Veerappan was a notorious criminal, many people in the Satyamangalam forest area considered him a hero. The villagers there believed that Veerappan was a god who looked after their welfare. As a result, many households in those villages have his photographs and the people there have immense admiration for him. This local reverence, despite his criminal activities, paints a complex picture of Veerappan's legacy among the people who lived in the forests.